Hey, I'm ZSH Plays. Welcome back to Bellemont Zoo, where our guests have a bit of a problem. No matter how hard they look, they cannot find a gift shop. So today, we're going to build one along with the zoo's exit. This is where our gift shop and exit is going to go. We need to make sure that it joins onto three paths, one coming out of the gharial house, one next to the gharial house, and one coming down from our Japanese garden and playground. One of the things I want to achieve with the gift shop is to have some exhibit animals in it that you can see both from outside the gift shop and when you're inside the gift shop as well. I think that would be cool. Add a bit more interest to it. So we'll get onto those later, but firstly we're going to build the facade of the gift shop itself, and I found a really nice one for inspiration. Its location will be no surprise to you, but it actually was a surprise to me. It's at Singapore Zoo, and the reason it's a surprise is I found it by accident doing some research. It's a brand new gift shop. They've only just built it. Wasn't there when I went to Singapore Zoo, but it's a really nice one. So we're going to use that as inspiration, both from the outside and the inside, and then chuck some of our own ideas in as well, like the animals and some custom stuff to sell in the shop that I want to make as well. This building will need to be a really specific shape because we've got a very specific space left in the zoo for it. And what we're going to have is a curved front of the building, and then the back of the building is essentially going to fill in the space that you can see behind what we're building here. So in order to get the curve, what we need to do is build one section of the building attached to a mud pillar, and then once we've got this one piece perfect, then we can start rotating it around to form the front of the building. Main construction materials are going to be metal and wood, with some glass as well. We've got some orange tinted glass there, and we're using this anchor plate to create an overhang at the front of the building. So there's a bit of a kind of awning at the front that people walk under before they get into the gift shop. And then we've got some metal poles. I'm going to switch those out for another piece because, believe it or not, that is coloured black in the game's options, but the Flexicolor options on that piece are really weird. So that kind of light grey is as dark as they go. So we'll replace that later on, and we'll use some decals to put some detailing in under the roof, and we'll get some more detail in later as well. The building at Singapore Zoo is maybe 4 or 5 stories tall. It is really big, which fits in with Singapore Zoo very nicely because it's absolutely massive. But Bellemont Zoo is a lot smaller, so I'm just going to make it a 2-story building, and we'll have some implied staff areas above the shop, maybe some offices for the PR staff and people like that. So we're making the second floor here with a big window and then some wood paneling that we'll put in above that. Once we've got that to the right height, we're going to randomly select different bits of the wood and very slightly change the colour so we get some different textures to the wood here, and we'll also move some of them slightly forward and some of them slightly back just so we get some more realistic looking wood paneling. And then we're going to put a bio roof in with some mulch, and we'll drape some plants over the front. We're going to use the new Chinese lantern as a hanging plant. I thought that might work if we get a couple of those in there. And then, as always, we'll use the upside down Nataria bushes to do that as well. Those turnstiles you can see in the back have basically just been lying around in the zoo since episode 1, waiting for the exit to be built. They are a blueprint by one of my favourite Planet Zoo YouTubers, although they didn't make Planet Zoo YouTube videos for long, Mars Bandit. I would highly recommend his videos if you want some well thought out, nice, chilled Planet Zoo vids to watch. And that's our one section of building complete. Let's turn it into a proper building. We need quite a large curve on the front of the building, so we're going to put the two sides of the building pretty far away from each other, and then we'll move the part of the building that we're going to keep into the right position. We need it to be far enough away from the exit gates that we can get a decent sized gift shop in there, but not so close to the paths that we don't have room for some nice landscaping in front of it. So I think about here is going to be fine, and then we can start rotating the building round to form the front. You'll see as we start rotating it that for obvious reasons the plants hanging down the front of the building are going to be exactly the same on each section. So later on I'm just going to mix those up so they're not all the same. And we just need to keep doing this until we filled in the space that we want for the building. We want to leave a bit of space on either side so we've got some room for trees and bamboo just to sit it in nicely. And then we'll take a look at how it's shaping up. It's looking pretty good. Got a lot more work to do on it to get the front of the building finished, but before we do that, we're just going to quickly put down the actual gift shop piece. This is only the second gift shop we've ever built on the channel, and you'll see as I place it down, I've completely forgotten how they work. The only way the guests can get in is via the little floor mat, and I put that at the back. So we'll move that round the other way later on. Time now to put in the animals. With this being the first zoo we've ever had a proper reptile and amphibian house in, we're actually running pretty low on exhibit animals, but there is one left that I'm a big fan of, and that is the blue-tongued skink. I want them to have a really attractive and quite lush little habitat to live in here, So as well as using 3 exhibit boxes, we're going to customize the interior, because despite the classic Australian desert look that they've got in these exhibits, the eastern blue-tongued skink lives in the plains around and the lower reaches of the Blue Mountains near Sydney, which is actually a pretty green and pleasant land rather than a desert. So we're going to customize this and get lots of nice greenery in there. We'll put custom backdrops in as well and really try and sell the fact that this is one large exhibit for a number of skinks rather than 3 stuck together. We've got this effect under the exhibit boxes where it almost looks like the sand is kind of extending down the front of it. I've done that with the Tropical Pack Step, I think it's called, because it's got 3 different colours that you can change on it. I really like the look of that, and then the black goes nicely with the rest of the building. And then we'll actually go into the exhibit and start putting some custom planting in to bring it to life. We've got some of the tropical plant panels behind this wood as well, just to make sure the whole of this part of it is green, and then we'll start customizing the exhibits. So I'm going to put various ferns and small palms in here, all from that part of the world, to ensure it looks nice and green. And we're also going to cover up these cacti, which don't really belong here, with some more plants to make it a bit more realistic. Once we've got all of those in, we can start putting in some custom panels. I really like the 3D rock that you get in this exhibit, but I don't like the blue paneling above it. Now you can put your own images in here, but if you do that, you lose the 3D rocks. So I'm going to put billboards over it behind the rocks, but in front of the back panel. We'll find a nice copyright-free image of the Blue Mountains in Sydney and use that to create the backdrop for the habitat. And we're actually going to colour the exhibit boxes themselves blue, so that when the light reflects off them, you get a bit of a blue sheen to the inside of the exhibits. The Blue Mountains are named because of the kind of blue haze that hangs above them, and it's pretty subtle, but you can kind of see that once that's in there. We're going to sink a door into the back of one of the habitats, so it looks like the keepers can get in and out. We'll just have the frame sticking out like that, like the image extends over it. And then we'll move on to finishing off the exterior of the building. So we're going to put our Bellemont Zoo sign into this panel here. We'll put some lights in to brighten up this area, and then we'll clear out some space for a door. The guests will only actually use one of these doors, the one with the placemat behind it, but we're going to make it look like they can use both. So we'll remove that central pillar to give us some more room. And then we should probably put the rest of the building in, seeing as it's just a facade at the moment. So we're just going to take one of the sections that we created and then build the rest of the building out of that. So the top floor will just be this same piece in a shape that fits it in nicely with the back of the zoo. And the ground floor will just be a fairly standard wood and plaster construction. And then we'll move on to actually getting the doors in. I really like these grid pieces from the modern glass set, but they are actually slightly larger than the doors. But I realized if we have the doors open, you can't tell that they are slightly too small. So we're just going to do that, and that's the doors done. And now we've got something else to take care of. I mentioned in the Zoo Nights episode that the zoo is sorely lacking in food and drink options for the guests. We've got the restaurant here, we've got the little drinks court here, and then we've got some vending machines in the lion house here, and that is it. So this end of the zoo has no amenities for the guests whatsoever, and we need to add some. And to do that, we're going to bring back some old favourites, our drink trucks. We built these for San Bernardino Zoo. I really like the branding, a little tribute to some of my Planet Zoo pals, so I thought we'd reuse them in Bellemont Zoo. So now we've got a JP Shakes down by the Butterfly House, a Roman Ices next to the Ocelot, another one next to the Gibbons, and then finally a Beezy beer in the restaurant just tucked away behind the Koala House. With that done, it's time to start the interior of the gift shop. Firstly, we're going to cover the walls with some simple plaster panels, and any parts of the exterior that are kind of poking through, like these anchor plates, will be covered up as well, and that will give us this really clean looking interior. We've got one of the opaque glass ceiling pieces for the floor as well, to get that shiny kind of look you often see in gift shops. And as well as all the usual shelves that you'd expect in the gift shop, there's a couple of custom pieces that I want to make. Firstly, this, which is going to be the centerpiece of the shop, which is a kind of island based on a tree with gifts all around it. This is based on something at the actual Singapore Zoo gift shop that I was using as inspiration. So we're going to take these curved wooden pieces, attach them to the mud pillar, and then we'll spin these around to create a kind of stylized modern tree. And then we're going to take some of the shelves of the drawers at the bottom and use the same trick to rotate these around the trunk of the tree so they match seamlessly with the circular shape. Well, that was a lot of S's. We'll take an art shape and put that at the top, colour that green, and then we're going to use these leaf signs, which I don't think we've ever used before, to create an irregular edge to the tree to make it look a bit more interesting, and some more of the primitive shapes to solidify the trunk. And now we just need to pick a colour scheme that complements the tree nicely. And we've got ourselves a little centrepiece. We'll put some lights on it to make sure it's brightened up. Gift shops are always super bright in zoos. Don't want people missing anything. And then we'll fill this with plushies and puzzles. Make sure the kids are nagging their parents enough to buy them gifts. And then we'll move on to my favourite part of this build, which is a custom poster stand. I really wanted to get something that was unique to Bellemont Zoo in this shop. So I spent ages thinking, how can we do that? And I realised the easiest way to do that would be via something using a billboard, because then we can get custom images on it. And considering the sizes of the billboards that we've got, posters were the way to go. So what we're going to do is take 2 of the smallest square screen panels, put them on top of each other, and that gives us an approximation of the shape of a poster. And then I've created some custom graphics that we can place on there based on the various signage around the zoo. So we've got this maned wolf based on the advertising hoardings at the front of the zoo, and if we copy the panels behind each other, we end up with a double-sided poster. We've got some graphics from the Madagascar house, some from Life in Cold Blood, and a few others. And we'll create various double-sided posters here. We'll place them so that they are rotated so it looks like people have been browsing through them. I used to spend so long browsing through poster racks like this when I was a kid, choosing exactly what poster was going to go on the wall of my room. And then we'll build a stand to keep them up on top of the usual poster and umbrella stands that the game gives you. So we're going to use a couple of the tiny little pieces from the America's Animal Pack to create a stand, and that will go over the top of these posters. These 2 pieces are featured in pretty much everything we've built on the channel since the day that pack came out. Everything I upload to the workshop, I always have to select that it requires the America's Animal Pack because I just can't stop using these pieces. So apologies if you don't own it. And then we can use the grasslands pole to make it look like the posters are actually fixed onto the stand. They need something to swing around so that people can go through each poster and check them out before they purchase them. And then finally, to finish it all off, we'll add posters to the bins at the bottom. I'm going to move the stand up a tiny bit just so that they don't clash. And there we go. That's our custom poster stand. We're almost done. Just a few more things to add into the gift shop, starting by rotating some of these smaller shelves around the tree that we built. We'll delete the ones at the back. We're going to have like a half circle so people can get access to the tree part of it and also get to the shelves in front of it here, which are going to have yet more plushies on them. I think that's enough plushies for the gift shop now. It's time to add some other items in. So we're going to put some shelves along the back wall here. One of the things I notice in any zoo gift shop I go in is you very rarely can see the walls. They're always absolutely covered with shelves and hanging displays. So we'll put some hats and caps on here. We'll put some t-shirts and totes down this wall here, heading towards the skinks. We'll put another one of the zoo's logos just to help with the branding on the wall there. And that's the interior of the gift shop done. Time to join it on to the rest of the zoo. We're going to use the same ornate path that we used in the entrance to give it a bit of continuity with the exit here. We need some really wide paths, going to get a lot of traffic through here, and then we'll hide some paths under the sandstone here to make sure people can walk right up to the exhibits, and most importantly, get through the door of the gift shop. Annoyingly, considering how gift shops normally work in zoos, there's no way to get them to go into the gift shop and then straight through it to the exit, but we'll just have to live with that. Once that's done, we'll just do some planting with some flowers and some of the bamboo and foliage displays that we created last week, and then the final touch is to add a hidden butterfly exhibit. So back when we built the Asian area, we had a little invisible butterfly exhibit next to the path with just a few European butterflies in there, so you might see one fluttering past at points. But a few weeks ago we deleted that to make way for our lion-tailed macaque habitat. So I thought we'd put another one in here, just so as people walk down the path from the Japanese garden, might be a butterfly fluttering past. And that is the build done. Let's check it out. I'm very pleased that we've got our invisible butterfly habitat back. There's just something about a butterfly just sat next to the path in a natural way that is really pleasing. And here is the gift shop. Our guest has finally found a gift shop to visit, so she's going to go in and browse. There is a lot of choice in here, so not sure what she's going to look at first. And I can barely believe this happened. She started with the poster rack. Because these are billboards, guests will actually go up and look at them. Let's take a look at the whole thing. Pretty busy in here. It might actually need even more clutter than it had. I was worried about the guests being able to path their way through it. Happily, the numerous gift shop issues with the game that we had when we tried to build one in San Bernardino Zoo were fixed a long time ago, and they work really nicely now. I literally filmed all of this as soon as it was opened, no issues at all. Our guest has made her purchase, and now we can check out the blue-tongued skinks. I love these little dudes. I actually got an urge to build another Australian area just placing these into the zoo, but there's definitely no room left in Bellemont Zoo for that. Finally, let's take a look at the zoo's exit. Pretty simple, just some security gates leading out onto the street. And if we hop up into the drone cam, this is where we started today, and this is where we are now. There is literally just one space left in the zoo, which means next week is the final building episode of Bellemont Zoo. I look forward to seeing you then. Thank you so much for watching as always. Thanks especially to those of you who've joined the Explorers Club. Hit the join button on the channel if you want to see your name here, and I'll see you again next week for some more Planet Zoo.